Hey guys, what is going on? I want to talk about anxiety and its relation to IBS. When I talk about anxiety, that can just be stress, depression, health anxiety, panic disorder, panic attacks. If you have any of these and you already have stomach issues, you know they don't make them any better. You need to understand also that just because you have a symptom of IBS doesn't mean you have IBS. So make sure you go to your doctor to get that checked out to give you that reassurance that you're okay. But digestive problems associated with anxiety are a nightmare. They do not make anything easier. They're kind of just one of those nasty symptoms that you can have from having anxiety. Now, I've always had a bad digestive system. This started whenever I was a child. Whenever I was really small, I was scared to use the bathroom. I don't know what happened. They said it was just some mental thing that I was going through. And it basically stretched out my colon, so now it doesn't work that great and hasn't my whole life. So this is something that I've dealt with my whole entire life. I've struggled with it, and whenever I had my first panic attack probably 6 years ago, things started to get extremely worse. These are kind of the symptoms that nobody talk about because it's kind of embarrassing, but I'm going to be honest about all my symptoms. I'm going to let you know what happened to me, what I started doing to try to help that. But after my first panic attack, I didn't notice anything different. I'd always dealt with, constipation and diarrhea and gas and bloating, heartburn, all that. So after, that first month, I didn't notice much. But after about a month of having panic attacks every day, and now I was having about 5 to 10 panic attacks every single day, sometimes more, lasting, anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour. It was horrible. My first panic attack was 6 hours. That's a way to kick in the new thing. I started noticing that no matter what I ate, no matter when I ate it, no matter what, it would always turn into diarrhea, and it was horrible. It was like very frustrating. If I was going through these, this is every day. I didn't take a break from anxiety. I didn't take a break from health anxiety or panic disorder. I went hard on this stuff every day for like 2.5 to 3 years. That's when I started to get a little better and get it under control. So every day, it was like I would go to the restroom probably 5 to 10 times a day, having to use the bathroom. I had diarrhea. So whenever I was out in public, I didn't want to go anywhere. Whenever you have bad panic attacks, you kind of just want to sit at home. Well, this is another reason. Even like whenever I was at work, it was a nightmare. I would have to go to the restroom like 2 or 3 times just in my shift to use number 2, whatever. And it was just very embarrassing. This is why I don't ever hear a lot of I never get a lot of comments down below saying I got diarrhea or I got horrible gas. Just people don't like to talk about it. But this is one of the bigger issues with my anxiety. My IBS was just made 10 times worse. So remember, if you have a symptom of IBS, it doesn't mean you have it, okay? Just because you have gas, just because you have diarrhea, just because you have constipation or horrible heartburn and stomach cramps, stomach cramps, I'm going to get it right, does not mean you have IBS. So go to the doctor, get that reassurance that you need, and then go from there. All right. Also, do not start taking stool softeners every day if you're constipated. I made that mistake one time, and it was hard for me to use the restroom when I stopped taking them. It made things worse. So you confuse your body. Your body knows what it needs to do. You just need to start making changes accordingly, and I will get to those, so stick around. Something else I noticed. I'm going to do a video on anxiety and heartburn, but I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about it in this video because it applies. The stomach acid increases tremendously whenever you're stressed out. So if you already have heartburn or GERD or acid reflux, whatever you want to call it, expect that to get a lot worse. All right. So I did end up taking heartburn medication for that because it was a nightmare. Now I use apple cider vinegar that basically cured my heartburn. I have a video for that if you want to go check that out. So it's something you want to check out. I really do not have heartburn anymore because of apple cider vinegar. But anyways, so my heartburn got horrible. It felt like lava was coming out of my throat. I would wake up in the middle of the night spewing out, like lava acid. Okay, so it was horrible. If you've had that, you know what it's like. It's a nightmare. Another issue I dealt with was gas. Okay, gas was just way worse and more frequent whenever I had bad anxiety. I don't know if it was the way that I slept or what, but whenever I'd wake up in the morning, I had horrible gas cramps. And this would last probably, until it was all out, of course. And I know that's gross, but I'm trying to be honest with you guys. I want to talk to you about this if you're struggling. So it'd probably last me, if I woke up at 7 a.m. in the morning, I would have these horrible gas pains till about 11, okay? Even using the restroom didn't necessarily do it. It just was trapped gas. I think it might have been the way I slept. Later on, whenever my anxiety started going down, it just magically stopped, and I didn't have this issue, thank goodness, because it was a nightmare. I'd get up in the morning just like, just bent over because it was that painful. That first lift up out of the bed, it was just like, oh my gosh, man, I got tired of it. I was dealing with it every day. And gas is also embarrassing, so a lot of people aren't going to admit that they have it. You have gas pains, and then that's like one of the most uncomfortable things ever, especially if you got to go to work, or you got to go to school, or you got to go be around people all day, and you have horrible gas cramps, and you're always trying to figure out where you got to go to let that out, or if you need to go to the restroom. It's just a nightmare. And IBS, the gas is a big part of that. And if you're going through stress or panic attacks or any of that, it's really going to make your gas situation a lot worse. So there you go. I'm getting to the good stuff in a little bit. I'm going to give you some tips on how to fix all this. Another thing that I would get extremely nauseated, especially during a panic attack, which is one of the reasons that made me think that I was having heart attacks. I've heard that nausea and the heart attack are related. So the one major difference is that I didn't vomit, and that's usually associated with a panic attack versus heart attack. So I wasn't vomiting, but I would have this annoying nausea, and it was just because of my stomach situation, my IBS symptoms. That was one of the deals. Now, I didn't deal with constipation a lot whenever I was going through these panic attacks, because my panic attack was like a natural laxative. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I would have a panic attack, and then I would have to go run to the bathroom and have diarrhea time. It was horrible. I was like, basically just needed a diaper for 3 years because of how bad it was. It was embarrassing. And I don't talk to anybody about this, really. I might have mentioned it to my mom or my significant other who I was with at the time. But I didn't just go around, nobody wants to talk about that. So I'm being honest with you guys. It's easier because I don't see you individually. I'm talking to a camera right now. But I dealt with very bad IBS symptoms. There's been studies on this, but nobody really knows why. They just know there's a correlation between stress and IBS. Like I said, stress can be health anxiety. It can be panic attacks. It can be general anxiety disorder, GAD. It can be depression. Okay, depression is known to make IBS worse. So basically, anything psychological that you're going through that's difficult is not going to make your digestive system work. And if we all know this, if we have anxiety, bad anxiety, or panic disorder, that everything is affected. So why not our digestive system? From your head to your toe, that you've got symptoms going on, and I feel you if you're going through this, because I went through it for 3 years. So eventually, when I started handling my anxiety and figuring out what the root cause is, and then start trying to rewire my brain, start thinking positive, and using meditation, magically these symptoms started to get less and less. But there's some things that you can do, okay? If you're drinking soda, okay, juices, a lot of fruit juices and stuff like that, cut those out, okay? Start just drinking plain water, all right? As far as coffee goes, if you have bad anxiety, coffee, it didn't help me with my anxiety. I can drink coffee like crazy now, but that's because I'm not struggling like I used to be. Coffee can make you jittery. If you have bad panic attacks, it can be a trigger. So if you can drink your coffee early in the morning before you have to go to work or anything, and handle your business, okay? It'll help clean things out. It'll keep things smooth and sailing. Just make sure that if you have bad panic disorder, that you're aware that it can cause an attack, all right? Another thing, start cleaning up your diet. Diet literally affects everything from our psychological standpoint to physical to digestive to everything, okay, is affected by that. So you need to keep that in mind. You need to eat more plant-based diets, lean meats. You need to stay away from fast food. If you really think that that's going to help, then you're crazy, okay, because none of that helps. I had to start cleaning up my diet. I started eating better. And yeah, I'd slip up every once in a while, and I'd pay the price for it, okay? Your gas is not going to get better if you're eating cheeseburgers, Your gas isn't going to get better if you're drinking tons of soda or eating fries and Little Debbie snacks and all that stuff. It's not going to help. So you got to clean your diet up, all right? Make sure you're doing that. Is there anything else? Yeah, like I said, do not be taking stool softeners and all that crazy stuff, because your digestive system isn't going to work on its own whenever you stop taking it. It's going to take another little bit of a time period before it gets back on track with what it has to do. It's made to do what it's got to do. The best way you can help is with diet and fluids, coffee. A probiotic would be a good idea. You can get those in gummy form and tablet form. Go to, it'll be right around the vitamin section. You'll find probiotics. You'll see it there. I actually do these gummies that are kind of like Sour Patch Kids. They got like this sugary stuff on it, and they taste really good. I take 2 of those in the morning, 2 of those in the evening. It does help me a little bit with my symptoms. It's not a magical cure or anything like that, but it definitely works. Okay, so it does what it's supposed to do. It's actually a good bacteria that'll stay in your gut, and it's actually, it sticks around because it's hardened. It's got hardened layers on it, which your stomach acid can't penetrate through. So it helps out, with digestive problems, especially with IBS. I will do a review over that probably in the next few days, and I'll have that on here so you can guys check out exactly what I use. Another thing is just start positive thinking. You got to change your mind, all right? You got to rewire your brain, and that's the hardest part. You can do all these other things, exercise, eat right, but you still got to practice positive thinking, okay? That's the only way you're going to beat this anxiety issue that you have, whether that's depression, health anxiety, panic disorder, whatever it is. That's how you're going to fix the root cause, the root problem. So you got to start thinking more positive. Practice meditation in the mornings and in the evenings. I sound like a broken record to many of you guys that are subscribed to me, but many of you are not making any changes. I get the same questions every day from some of the same people. I'm not trying to be rude, but especially, I get messages about this all the time. What's not working? I ask them, well, are you doing this? And they're like, no. And this is like the 3rd time that I've talked to them about something, and you got to start making these changes. Hold yourself accountable. If you're not getting any better, but you're not doing any of the advice or tips that I'm giving you, things are not going to just magically get better one day. I can't always just talk a panic attack out of somebody or talk somebody out of depression. It's not that easy. You got to understand that this takes time. It's a process, and it just takes a lot of effort. Okay, I didn't get better in one day. I wish, but as far as my anxiety went, it took a long time. It probably took a course after going through it for 2.5 years. It probably took me a year once I started getting better to fully get it out of my system. And I don't have panic attacks anymore, luckily. I haven't had one of those in 2 years. Knock on freaking wood. I do not want to have one of those again. But make sure that you're meditating, okay? Also, do that in the morning, do it in the evening. That's when you have the greatest impact on your subconscious mind. There's plenty of videos on how to meditate. Maybe one day I'll have one, but go find one of those and practice it. If you're going through anxiety, depression, health anxiety, panic disorder, any of that, follow my Facebook group down below. Go down there and click on the link and join. There's a lot of good stuff, a lot of support you'll find there. Leave me a comment down below if I left out any symptoms that you might be experiencing. And like this video so we can get this video ranked up there in the search engine. Also, join my social networks down below. Subscribe if you haven't, and if you have subscribed, go ahead and hit that notification bell next to it so you can get updates whenever my videos come out. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I've been seeing a lot of increase in subscribers and views, and I'm very, very truthfully thankful for that, and I hope you all have a great evening, guys. Thanks.